Hi everyone, welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. How are you guys doing? Happy Wednesday. We're almost there to Friday. Guys, even though I took that one day off, I'm still feeling tired. But right now, um, that's all I can take for now. I'm probably going to take some more time in the near future to myself so that I can get more rest and take care of myself. I'm doing better, guys, a little bit better. Making progress one day at a time, one step at a time. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Just do one day at a time, one step at a time, and don't be too hard on yourself. We are only human, right, guys? So don't beat yourself up or be too hard on yourself. If you miss a day here or something over there, just take it easy. I also, on days like this, you could look at my eyes, see I'm tired, but I'm here. What I do is chamomile tea because it really helps to keep me at ease. Because there's a lot going on in this world, a lot going on, and when you're at work, different, you're hopping, skipping, jumping, etc. And I just, drink the chamomile tea. Like I said, I talk about this anxiety bracelets and just things to keep me calm, you know. Whereas before I would be all over the place, my blood pressure would be up, the stress levels. So I do things and find creative ways to take care of myself. I'm going to turn the music down a little bit to take care of myself. And not only do I find these things, guys, but I do the research before I purchase anything. And I look at ratings and listen to reviews from other people about different products and things that just ease anxiety and just keep you calm. So I'm just sharing that. And like right now, this is chamomile tea. I have different types of tea, but this work, especially at nighttime, when you want to calm down from the anxieties of the day, rushing and doing things. So, guys, Walmart sells these things too. So, in the coffee aisle, you might want to look into something like this because all these little things help. I know it is helping me. One day at a time, one step at a time. You'll be amazed at how these things keep you calm because if I didn't have them, I'd be all over the place. But just something to think about before we get into this topic of discussion. I hope you guys are doing well. For the woman who sent me that beautiful comment about how these videos are resonating with you and helping you, thank you. Because that means to me, it means a whole lot. Because as you get help and you tell other people about it, then they come aboard and they get help. And all of these things, guys, remember, I'm not a therapist, social worker, or a counselor. These are personal experiences of things that I've gone through that were supposed to break me and leave me broken on the side somewhere. But I found creative ways with the help of God to, instead of succumbing to these trials and tribulations and these things to keep you broken, I was able to overcome with the help of God and with putting in the work, little by little. This is not an overnight thing, little by little to heal. Because when you heal your mind, your mental and physical, then you can self-care and do all those other things. But without that, you can't do any of this. And especially like myself, where my self-esteem was so broken, it took a long time to build it up because of the verbal abuse. Some of it was physical, and with the help of God. Without God, none of this was possible. So with that being said, let's get into this topic of discussion. And the title is Healing and Keeping Your Business to Yourself. And what I want to say about this, healing and keeping your business to yourself, as you heal, guys, you are not required to share with other people about the pain or trauma that you're trying to heal, unless you want to. Some people, when you start to change your life for the better and do the work, they want to know details of why A, B, C, and D. And you don't have to share those details if you don't want. So never feel obligated to allow people to press you, to tell you why you changed, why you did this. If you want to share personal experiences of certain things, you can. But, in my case, I share certain things, and then there's other things I don't share, because it's just important to keep certain things to yourself, especially as you continue to heal those things that brought you to a place of a lot of pain. You know, nobody needs to know all the details of A, B, C, and D. Like on this platform, I talk about a lot of personal things, trials and tribulations that I went through, but I do not give names of individuals. I don't even do the sex thing. What I mean by that, I don't say female, male, none of those things. I'm very careful as to what information I share, um, because we are on YouTube, and it's those things really are not important. What's important is the circumstances that I talk about and how I overcame them, and I share with you because somebody somewhere is going to hear this and they may be currently going through those things that I overcame already. And what I say here might be beneficial in helping them with their own situation. So that's what the key factors are here. Never sharing names or locations or etc. Um, Also, like I said, everyone doesn't need to know the details of everything that you've gone through. But I go a step further here and share certain things because I want people to know that what I went through, there was no coming back from that without God and doing the work. But we can overcome these things, these trials and tribulations, instead of succumbing to them. One of the things as I did therapy, that I learned is, besides doing that pro and con list that my therapist had me to do, was to set strong boundaries. Because as I start to change, heal, grow, and evolve, I started to change my broken mindset. We grow up with certain belief systems that things have to be this way, you have to do it this way, and you have to be this and that. And some of us just march to a different beat of the drum. We're not, things don't have to be so black and white. There is some gray in between, and some people don't know how to see the gray in between. And, sometimes people just get stuck in broken mindsets or a broken way of living or etc. because that's all we know. But when we learn that things can be done differently, let me give another metaphor of an example. Guys, those who are familiar with algebra, let's say the answer to a algebra formula is the number 5. Maybe I may do that formula one way, and you may decide to do it a different way. It doesn't matter as long as the end result is the number 5. And this is how it is with life. I may creatively do things this way to heal my mental and physical, and you may do it a different way, as long as we both meet up at the end result, which is the same: to heal, grow, and evolve from these situations. That's the best way I can describe it using that kind of metaphor. Setting goals for yourself is important. That's important to me, to write down the goals, what you want to see a couple of months from now, maybe a couple of weeks, a couple of months, maybe even a year from now, and then go and look back and see how much of that you accomplish. One of the things that was very important to me was to raise my self-esteem and self-awareness, because I was just going with the flow. If someone was interested in me and they look good and smell good and spoke a certain way, okay. Today, after healing and going through all the abuse, because you can meet people and they can tell you their status or this and that, but I look at the heart of I can't see the heart of the individual. I look at the individual, what type of individual is this? What are they bringing to the table? What am I bringing to the table as well? And can we meet up and make this work together? Instead of, oh, this one looks good or this one has this or what. Those things, I look deeper than that. because I've learned from the lessons of doing certain things um, one way before that never worked. And my self-esteem was so shot to the ground. It took a few years to raise it up again, you know. And I don't see things in the same way, as a broken way, because before you know when your self-esteem is so low, you don't think you're good enough to do this or have that. I had to recondition my thought pattern, recondition the way I saw myself, and know that I'm good enough just as the next person, and not look at myself as that metaphor of what these narcissistic individuals were putting out. We want you at the bottom of this barrel. You're going to stay there because that's where we belong, where you belong, rather. Never let anyone define who you are and tell you what you deserve and what you don't deserve. And as I started to change my mindset and see myself, heal my mental and physical health, I started to look at life and things in a different perspective. Oh, I am good enough. I can do A, B, C, and D. Never let anyone define you or play God in your life. Take one day at a time, build yourself up. Think about what's important to you. I was so subservient to other people that I just thought about what they want while I put everything that I want on a back burner and neglected myself. Guys, as you start to heal, grow, and evolve, you start to see how important you are, and what you need and your wants are important. Set boundaries and set goals, and as you care, self-awareness about what's important to you, that you are just important as the next individual and what they want, and etc. So I started from a place of therapy and prayer, asking God to help me because I couldn't do this alone. And I started to realize removing abuse and toxicity from my table was the priority, so that I can stay on this path to heal my mental and physical health. Know my worth, guys. When you know your worth, you're not going to settle for toxicity and abuse and people telling you that you belong at the bottom of the barrel and you're not good enough. What I had to do is to cut off, block, and delete those individuals out of my life, because it can stunt my growth and keep me in a place of not being able to grow, heal, and evolve. Raise your self-esteem and raise your self-awareness, and continue to move forward. And one day you will overcome these trials and tribulations, and as you do the work, you're going to see the labor of your hard work. You're going to see the fruition of it. And as you do, you can be a testimony to help other people to do the same, because you've already gone through it, and you can share your experiences and tell others how you overcame these trials and tribulations. And you don't know what people are going through. Some people talk about it, others don't. But they hear your testimony. They hear your personal story. No one can tell you, oh, what to say, what not to say. These are your own personal experiences of trials and tribulations and pain that you went through to overcome. One thing I have learned is that a lot of creativity and things can come from pain. Have you guys ever heard a song that you love so much that it could be way back in the day, in the 80s, 90s, and if you hear it today, you got to hear it over and over again? What I make from that is that somebody went, especially something about, that seems painful. Somebody went through something so traumatic and painful that they put it down in a song. That's an outlet also for the pain. And that they put all of that feeling into that song, into that music, that piece of music. That's what I did in 2020 when I was going through, when it first started, all this pain and trauma, trials and hurt. I put it in a book, my third book that I wrote. And I just kept writing and writing because we were in a shutdown. Nobody was going anywhere except for a supermarket and coming back home. And wrote and wrote. And in between writing, I was able to go to the gym, work out. All those things is an outlet for the pain until I completed the book. So find your niche of what's going to help you to get through these trials and tribulations. The first thing that I would suggest is therapy, because that's a starting point. And as you do the work in therapy, you're going to find what works for you creatively and start, connecting to that. Remember, one day at a time, one step at a time. And then you will start to feel better, you do better, and you start to see the rewards of your hard work. Remember, guys, it's better to be at a place of peace, which you will eventually acquire inner peace, instead of being broken down into pieces. That's the message tonight, and thank you all for being here, and continue to show up. Subscribe to the channel, invite others to do the same so that you can hear this message and share it with others. People need to be upbuilt instead of torn down. Thank you again, guys, for being here. This is Lisa, shedding love and light to you all. And you guys have a great night, and I'll see you sometime tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.